Good evening, people. How are you doing today? As you can see, we have our Halloween costumes on, and I hope you do too. I'm a dark sorcerer,
I'm Sally from A Nightmare Before Christmas, so thank you, Mary, for the suggestion.
so we're going to do some Reddit here.
Yes. Uh, I will probably not wear this wig the whole time because I ended up buying a kid's costume, and apparently I do not have a kid-size head, so I have it balanced on my head, but it's kind of awkward.
I also have I was checking the volume and on my phone and stuff like that. We have a phone here that I was like, oh, need to make sure that everything is going fine. So it looks like things have already started. So that's good. Everything sounds fine on my end. So I'll say hi to the people if there's anyone out there. Hi, folks. So you now know how long there is of a delay. So let's get started. So it's going to be a little bit of a different format in the respect that it's going to look like this as opposed to like what it normally does. Oh, and that's not our first story. Or is it? All right. So, oh, it's Morgan. Hi,
Hi, Morgan!
Morgan. Welcome. Welcome. We're just about to get started reading these off. So, our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Converting My Cat's Room into a Gaming Room for My Boyfriend Who's About to Move In? So, my partner is a 34-year-old male, and I'm a 33-year-old female, and we've been together for a year now. I live in a house that I own with four of my cats, and he used to rent a flat, but due to issues at his company, he lost his job and couldn't afford it any longer and had to move back into his parents' house. He temporarily got a part-time position at a grocery store, and he is looking for a job in his field. Well, him and his parents don't get along very well, and he said that they're punishing him or pushing him to get a full time position and pay towards the bills. He's been hinting at the idea of moving in with me, and we're not at that point in moving in together yet, but after a while, I caved in and agreed for him to move in and pay a portion of the bills. Remember how I mentioned that I have four cats? Well, my cats all have their own room. I mean, they have their litter boxes and some toys scattered around the house, but the main area is this large room upstairs that was designed specifically for them with a huge window, scratch posts going up the ceiling, and pathway shelves, etc. It's basically a cat's heaven. I also have my office upstairs. It used to be two bedrooms, but I combined them into one office space as I work from home, and one bedroom plus bathroom, and downstairs has a huge kitchen and living room plus bathroom. My bedroom is huge, and I thought it was a given that we would share it. I bought a new wardrobe just for him and made space in the living room so he can arrange his gaming setup, etc. He started moving in his stuff yesterday and making comments about my cat's room, complaining why it's not emptied yet. Turns out he expected that room to become his man cave, his gaming room, while my cats can roam the house and don't need a room. He said that he's disappointed, but he'll empty it out himself. I said absolutely not, and he's not going to do such a thing, and the cat room is staying as it is. He got really angry, and we had an argument standing between boxes of his stuff. It boiled down to him refusing to have less space than the cats in his own house, and that I don't respect him enough to allow him to use that room. I've never seen him like that, and I admit I got a bit scared of him. He's been on an evening shift at his job, and I called my brother to move the stuff out. We drove it to his parents' house and then we left it there. His mother was hysterical. She was saying that we just got rid of him and he can't come back. He sounds like a real winning house guest. After that, I texted him and his stuff is back at his parents, and unfortunately he cannot move in with me. He called from outside, apologizing for his behavior, that he was just really shocked that I didn't love him enough, and that I love my cats more, and he cried apologizing. I stood my ground, But later on, I got phone calls from his family, mother, and cousins and sisters all calling me heartless for picking the cats over my partner, which didn't happen. I'm genuinely conflicted now. Is it really wrong for me to refuse to give him that room? Am I the jerk here? Well, what do you folks think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk, but dump him. He sounds like a real winner.
Yeah, well, the fact that he's like, oh, I must have more room than the cat.
Well, and like he moves in, he has a part-time job, but it sounds like he's not really going to be contributing a lot to the house
Yeah.
financially. It's not clear if he's going to be doing a lot of housework or anything. So it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like he just kind of like he sounds kind of like a moocher, and then he like wants to take over the whole house. Like, this is my house now.
Yeah.
This is going to be my gaming room. He wasn't like, oh hey OP, is there any chance I could use this as my gaming space?
Yeah, there wasn't any kind of conversation about that ahead of time. And if there had been, then I mean, that would have been a whole lot easier for OP to probably like deal with, right?
Right, and she'd still be well within her right to say, no, this is important that my cats have this room, but like at least they'd have a reasonable adult discussion instead of
Mm-hmm.
him assuming. And just from his family's reaction, it sounds like they're just desperate to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And maybe this is for the best that he doesn't move in. I mean, well, and he also bullied OP into letting him move in, which is
Yeah.
another red flag right there.
It's like, oh, hey, I want to move in, but also I want to move in on my own terms, and I don't want to listen to you. And then I also am going to get jealous over the cats. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty awful situation. So I feel bad for OP there. So, but, oh, what?
I was gonna say, but the cat room sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does sound awesome. It does. I mean, it's like giving the cats their own little space, I think is pretty nice. And Morgan says, not the jerk, OP has done enough for him, but it wasn't enough for him, so goodbye. I agree. Yeah, I think that encapsulates it pretty well. All right. And on the flip side, folks, on
Yeah,
the
we have a
flip
companion
side,
story.
we have a companion story. Oh, and Acu. Hi, guys. Sorry, for some reason my keyboard will only let me type in caps. It's all right, Acu. And I see that I'm a bit late. Sorry about that. No, not at all.
No problem.
Welcome. Join us. You missed the first story, but we've got the second story. Oh, thank you. He says that we look awesome
Thank
today.
you.
So, our next story is titled, Am I a jerk for calling my husband delusional when he told me to take one of my girls' room and turn it into the nursery for the baby? Well, my husband Chris and I live in a 4-bedroom house. I have 2 daughters, 16 and 10, and each have their own room. My older daughter needs privacy. The 3rd room is for me and my husband, and the 4th room is for his dog. Now, with a baby on the way, we would be going back and forth on where we should put the nursery, and my husband flat out said that his dog's room was off limits, and casually asked me to pick one of the girls' rooms and have them share a room. I was shocked when he suggested that. I argued with them and asked if he was serious about the suggestion, then called him unreasonable. He yelled at me, saying that I cannot be acting shocked, and called him unreasonable when my 10-year-old daughter has a room for herself. I flipped out and I called him delusional, and we had a big argument, then stopped talking to each other. He's mad, saying that I clearly think so little about his dog to be willing to kick him out of his own room, then reminded me of whose house this is, which I thought was uncalled for and unfair since I've been paying more towards the mortgage and all that. Am I the jerk for my reaction? And by the way, the girls are his stepdaughters, not biological daughters. He's even made a comment about asking their bio dad to pay to build a new room in the house. Of course, he was being sarcastic. He's a real winner there. Gonna go ahead and put this piece as requested, copy and paste as a response question. He's had him for 4+ years, he's overprotective of him, and there's always a fuss in the house because he thinks that my family and friends scare the dog and give him bad vibes. And so he provides him with his own space. Dog sleeping most of the time in that room, doesn't even do anything with all the stuff that my husband puts inside of it. Basically just wasted space in my opinion. It's been like this since my girls and I moved in, It's his house, so there isn't much I could do to change it. Also, my 16-year-old isn't having any of it. She's telling me that she'd go live with her grandma if the scenario happened, which makes it even worse now, and I feel stuck between a rock and a hard spot. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say that OP is not the jerk in this place because I do want to be clear that there's nothing inherently wrong with kids sharing a room.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you have an extra space, like this is in this case, OP and her husband are both contributing members of the household.
Yeah.
And, you have human people who need rooms. It's not like an additional, like,
Yeah, well, people do
playroom or
need like
something.
privacy,
Yeah,
right?
it's a bedroom. And, like, I think if
It's
there are
also
human
not like
people.
a. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's not like it's a game room.
Yeah, that's what I
OP
meant.
OP isn't gonna be taking this dog's room and turning it into a game room or
Right.
some other thing and kicking the dog out because of like oh it's wasted space so it's gonna become my
Right.
playroom, right?
I feel differently if it was just like an extra like bonus room, like oh yeah, a gaming room or something. But like where it would be used as a nursery, I think that's a reasonable use of space,
Yeah.
and that the infant is entitled to the nursery over the dogs. And my big concern here is it sounds like there's one of two things going on here. Either one, the husband values the dog more than his stepkids, which doesn't bode well for the future of the relationship.
Yeah.
Or two, he values the dog more than kids in general, which also doesn't bode well. Like, I'm
We've
not
had
sure.
a story.
Well, yeah, it's either going to be just like that story where, the guy didn't care about the toddler getting lost,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
cared about his dog getting
Yeah.
lost, or it's gonna be like so. I only see those two scenarios. Like,
It does seem like that could go that way, and I really hope it doesn't, but it seems like he's being really overprotective of the dog in this situation. I just don't think the dog, there are, again, a toddler or an infant is going to need its own room as opposed it so that it's less disturbing for other people. But then again, it's, unfortunate to make kids share a space if you have the extra room for it.
mm-hmm.
I mean, but I also agree that maybe a dog should be entitled to its own room if you can afford to do that, right? So, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to have a dog have its own room, but
Yeah,
I
well,
think
if it
there are
was
extenuating
yeah, if it was
circumstances.
a situation like in the first one where they had, ample space for bedrooms and they just had extra rooms, like fine if the pets want to have a room, but in this case, it seems like guy likes the dog more than his children, which is a problem.
Yeah. And Acu says, sounds like the dog doesn't actually need the room as much as the baby, not the jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan says, oh gosh, not the jerk. It would be nice for everyone to have their own room, but that's just not going to happen here. Yeah, the dog doesn't need its own room. The dog probably wouldn't care. Dogs are social creatures. Yeah, I mean, if the dog is under distress, then maybe there's a little bit more of an argument, but I mean, I think everyone's kind of on the same page with this one. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Telling My Daughter the Real Reason Her Father and I Split Up? Well, 16 years ago, just after giving birth to my daughter, I found out her father, a 52-year-old male, was cheating on me, a 38-year-old female, with two of my sisters. We'd been married for about 5 years at this point, and of course I was devastated. Neither of my sisters knew that he was having an affair with the other, and it came out because my mom found out about my older sister, after which my younger sister admitted to what had been happening. Well, I confronted him. He didn't say a word. He walked out, and I didn't see him for nearly 4 years. He continued to send money each month, but there was no other contact or explanation for his behavior. I cut all ties with my sister, and they've also never tried to contact me to apologize or see their niece. When it comes to family functions, my wider family has always made it clear that if I'm coming, they are not welcome. But if I'm not, then they are. I didn't ask for this, but my family said I was the one who was hurt. I didn't deserve to feel awkward. This meant that my daughter never had to meet her aunts, and I never had a chance to talk about them. And my wider family never spoke about them, so she didn't know that they were her aunts. Well, when my daughter was 4, he sent a letter explaining that he had spent the last 2 years in therapy dealing with various mental and addiction issues, and while it was no excuse for his behavior, he wanted to try and make amends. I was skeptical, but I didn't want my daughter to never know her father, so very slowly we started having more contact. Well, my daughter is now 16, and me and her father have a civil relationship. He supported her financially and emotionally as a father should, and he's always been respectful of my boundaries. I'll never forgive him for what he did. However, I do believe my daughter is better off for having him in her life. Well, about a week ago, my older sister added my daughter on Facebook and they got to chatting. My sister told her that she was her aunt, that she wanted to start mending old wounds. My daughter asked what she meant, but my sister refused to say and said it wasn't her place and told her to come to me. I was furious. I called my sister and I screamed at her for upsetting my daughter and not coming to me directly. I thought it was manipulative and another example of why I didn't want her in my life. I then had to sit down with my daughter and explain what had happened. She was devastated and said that she doesn't want any contact with her father. I told her that I didn't want that, despite his mistakes. He had proven that he's now a good father, and what happened between us was between him and me. Well, she was adamant, however, and so I respected her wishes. Her father is devastated and believes it's my fault for telling her and that I should have made something up about why I fell out with my sisters. However, I didn't think that it would have been right to lie to her. I asked my friends, and a few of them said that I should have protected my daughter's relationship with her dad, and her not having him about will hurt her more than if I had lied to her. So am I the jerk? And edit, thank you all so much for the responses. I didn't expect to get quite so many so quickly, so I appreciate you all taking the time. It's so good to hear that a majority of you agree with what I did. It's also good to have a sanity check, as I really didn't think that lying to her was the way to go, but was so worried that I was doing the wrong thing. I'll definitely take on board what a few of you said about giving her time. You're right. She has only just found out this info, so I get that her anger is off the scale right now. I think in regards to the encounter, to her to stay in contact with her father, I've let her know that she shouldn't feel like she shouldn't see him because of what he did to me. I'm over it, and I genuinely am happy that she has a relationship with him. So if she does decide to go no contact, I've said that to her that she should do it for her own reasons and not mine. And I, as well as the rest of our family, will always support her decision. I don't want to push or prod her into calling him, only because I know when I stopped talking to my sisters, I had my family try to push me into forgiving or seeing them. It would have just caused more resentment between them and me. I needed to do things in my own time and make my own decisions, so I want to do the same for my daughter. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. Your sister put you in an awkward position, but I mean, 16 years old, she's old enough to know the truth of the relationship deep
Yeah,
down.
yeah. I think that that's the important thing here is like she has the ability to make her own decisions and she's going to be able to heal and process in her own time. And there is a note on this one. I did read through some of the comments earlier. OP was 18 when they got married. It was
Yeah,
like,
there's like a huge age gap, like
yeah,
14 years or something. I don't remember. I'm kind of like trying to math in my head right now, but
yeah.
there's a giant age
It
gap
was
between
like
the two of
18
them.
and 30 or something like that. It's a huge age gap.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a terrible situation. Acu says not the jerk. Miss Doll says not the jerk. Yeah, I mean, it's like, there's not much to say on this one other than it's just like so bizarre
Yeah.
that the sister would have foisted this responsibility onto the or tried to guilt them into having the relationship.
Yeah, well, and it's not fair for him to want her to sweep this under the rug forever. Like, he may be genuinely apologetic for
Yeah,
what
yeah,
he did,
yeah.
but he still did it, and he doesn't get to take away the fact that he cheated on OP with both of her sisters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And why are we having I'm sorry, folks. Let's ban this person in the remove this. Okay. Sorry about that. this person is apparently a spam bot. So congratulations, we got a spam bot. Don't visit that website, please. And Morgan says, not the jerk at all. I'm kind of shocked at what he did. Both sisters, wow. Whatever the daughter decides to do is fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. That just that is I'm still a little weirded out by the bot that jumped on there. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for telling my 31, I'm a 31-year-old female, telling my fiance, 32-year-old male, that he can't invite his cousin to our wedding because he pees everywhere, urinates everywhere. I don't know exactly what's not going to be censored by YouTube here. So, yeah, hopefully this one doesn't cause too much ruffled feathers for the algorithm. My fiance and I are planning a small wedding of about 20 people, mostly just our immediate family and closest friends. He has a cousin, Jason, a 30-year-old male, who he was very close with growing up. My fiance used to live with Jason in a townhouse, and during that time, he caught Jason urinating in the kitchen sink, the bathtub, out the window, through the screen, and in the backyard. He has even seen Jason on the security cameras urinating on the driveway. Jason has absolutely no shame and will do that in front of people and in public. Public indecency.
Yeah.
His family has told me about it at a time that they were eating lunch on a dock, and Jason did this on the edge of the dock into the lake while the family was sitting maybe 10 feet away. No sense of appropriateness. He's done this in front of his family on hikes and during road trips, even when toilets are readily available. Jason chooses to do this wherever and whenever he wants to. I think he genuinely likes it when people say stuff like, ew, gross, Jason. Why can't you do that inside? It really feels like he loves the reaction that he gets by doing this in front of people. That's really the only reason I can think for why this grown man is choosing to do this like a dog. Our wedding is mostly outdoors. If Jason does this outside, out in the open at my wedding, I might actually rip his member off while it's still in his hands. Honestly, I think Jason would want to do this at my wedding for the reaction and would do it because he thinks it's funny and wants to make people mad. I don't want to worry about Jason doing this in front of my family on my wedding day or while I'm walking down the aisles. My fiance says that he wants Jason there and thinks that if he asks him, then he won't do this outside, even though his family has asked him before and he's always done it. I just don't trust him, and my fiance told his mom that I don't want Jason at my wedding, and she's given me a pretty hard time and asking me to reconsider. So, am I the jerk for not wanting to invite my fiance's cousin to our wedding? All right, folks. All right. What do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. And yeah, do not invite him because it sounds like he very much will use your wedding as a place for some public indecency.
Yeah, I just can't see this going any other way. Like, OP has described to us a pattern of behavior. He loves getting this reaction out of people. I can see him doing this again, right? I just don't see the wedding being a sanctified enough event for Jason to not do this, right?
Yeah, well, especially where his family has asked him to stop.
Yeah.
It sounds like he does it specifically because he knows it's going to upset people. So I think your husband asking him to stop is not going to stop him.
Yeah, I that's what I'm worried about here. I just don't see it stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. And Miss Doll says, seems like it could be kind of a fetish, and if they've asked about it before and he's disregarded it, then it isn't much to be expected but for it to happen. Exactly. And Aku says, not the jerk, that's some weird behavior. It is. It is very weird. And Morgan says, well then, haha, not the jerk. How does he have no common courtesy or decency? Maybe he'll learn after that he isn't invited to places anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's the trouble, is like people need to stop inviting him to places, and maybe he'll stop doing this.
Yeah, if his goal is to get a reaction out of people, he can't get a reaction if he's not there.
Exactly. Oh, and Miss Doll says, thank you for the post and videos, by the way. You guys are great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, Yeah, I have no thank you. Have no thank you. I don't know what Morgan's saying there.
Now we have a wholesome or one to follow it
Yes,
up.
we have a more wholesome one. All right, that one was weird. It was bizarre, but it's drama. All right. Now our next letter is titled, "Am I the jerk for not letting my pregnant friend eat my wife's food?" We had one a little while ago where it was kind of the
The
opposite,
opposite.
but now we have a more wholesome story. So, I'm a 33-year-old male, and I have the same friends since college, and we've become close our freshman year and have remained friends since then. It consists of me and my four buddies and our wives. It started out as me and my buddies, but as we got older, our families have expanded, so has the friend group. Well, once a month we have a barbecue and each one of us takes turns hosting. My wife Jane is autistic and has trouble eating certain foods, and she has sensory issues. To be safe, I have given my friends a list of foods that are safe for her to eat and won't cause her any problems. It's really easy food, and none of them have a problem accommodating her. Well, the other day, we were over at one of my friend's houses, and his name is John, fake name, and we all got our food, and his wife, Carolyn, went and grabbed the plate that was for my wife. My other friends, Nick, and my other friend's wife, Nick, other friend Nick's wife, saw. That's an awkward sentence. I'm sorry. Her name is Sarah, and she's pregnant. She said that she didn't want the food that was made and wanted my wife's food. The problem was that John and Carolyn only made enough for Jane and not enough for anyone else. Sarah then demanded that my wife give up her food because she has a baby to nourish and my wife does not. My wife has trouble communicating what she wants to other people, so I told Sarah that my wife only eats certain foods, and this was one of them. Sarah snapped back, saying that the other food is making her nauseous, and she has to eat something, and my wife's food is the only thing that looks appetizing to her. I told her that she or her husband can go to the kitchen and make something, but my wife will not be giving up her food. She called me rude and inconsiderate and stormed out of the backyard. Nick went to chase after her shortly after. Am I the jerk for not letting my letting a pregnant woman eat my wife's food? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, OP had specifically told the friends that his wife needs this dietary accommodation.
Yeah, yeah.
If the pregnant friend was worried about food, she could have notified them ahead of time as well.
Yeah.
And it seems like they would have been perfectly happy to accommodate her. But her being pregnant doesn't supersede everyone else's needs at the event, you know?
Yeah, well, and I mean, sometimes people who are pregnant they have trouble knowing what they will settle and
Certainly.
whatnot. And I do think that that's unfortunate, but they did offer them a solution. And the solution was that they can go into the kitchen and they can make something else that's hopefully more appealing to the pregnant woman. And I think that that's really what's key here is that they need to figure out a way of accommodating her without imposing upon OP's wife. So I think that's really what's important here, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. And as someone who does have issues with a lot of foods, like I feel for OP's wife in this. So I think I'm really glad that OP stood up for her. So
Yeah. And Acu says, not the jerk, the pregnant lady has real entitlement issues.
well, that's the thing is
yeah.
like I understand that she's pregnant and she's
Mm-hmm.
hungry, and that's
Mm-hmm.
valid. But like, it doesn't supersede everyone else's ability, like needs for food.
Oh, exactly. And Morgan says, not the jerk, OP is amazing. I hope I have a partner like that one day. I hope so too, Morgan. I hope you have a good partner like that. All right, and we'll move along to the next story here. Our next story is titled, "Will I be a jerk for not attending my best friend's wedding after she told me that she doesn't want me to be in any photos, but still wants me to be the maid of honor?" All right. Well, I'm a 27-year-old female, and my best friend is a 27-year-old female as well, and she's getting married in February. She has been planning her wedding for 2 years, and I have been actively helping her the entire time as her maid of honor. I'm extremely excited for her to get married. but she is slightly controlling. She's the kind of girl that has to have everything perfect or it's completely ruined. But her wedding, her rules. Well, in October, I found out that I was pregnant, and at the beginning of October, I'm due towards the end of June. This is my first baby, and I've struggled heavily with fertility issues, so this is a literal miracle baby. My husband and I literally just had given up hope trying for a little one this past summer. I will be in my second trimester during the time of her wedding. Well, I told my best friend last week, and she seemed upset. She wasn't too happy that I was pregnant, and her first question is if I would fit in my bridesmaid dress. The dress is extremely flowy, and I told her that I should be just fine. And if not, I'll cover the cost of any alterations / buying another dress. I bought the dress in the first place anyways. So, like, literally, her first question is not even congratulations. I tried to shrug it off, but I just assumed that she was stressed out. Her bachelorette party is next month. I've been exclusively planning it. So I just reached out with the final details to confirm everything. During the phone call, she tried to make me feel bad that I wouldn't be drinking with the rest of them and that it would be the bachelor party of her dreams. And I told her that it would still be fun. That upset me even more, but I just tried to shrug it off once more. Then today she called me and said that she had a hard decision to make, but she's been thinking about it for a while and she would like to keep me maid of honor, but she doesn't want me in any of her pictures. She said that my bump would be too distracting and she doesn't want her pictures to turn into a maternity photo shoot and that she didn't feel comfortable with it. However, she still wants me to pay for the bachelorette party, her plan, and help her plan the wedding, and wanted me to do almost everything, the maid of honor, except for be in the pictures, and she was debating if she still wanted me to give a speech. She then sent me a bunch of bag-like dresses to choose from as my new dress, since I won't need my maid of honor dress. Classy. I have been best friends since we were 10. I would never in my wildest dreams expect her to act this way. Will I be a jerk for dropping out of her wedding? I really don't want to feel like I'm paying for and being supportive of a person who treats me like a disposable mooch after years of fertility issues. But I also feel like I may be overreacting, as some of my friends say that I would look odd in the pictures. Oh yes, odd. Odd! Pregnant people look odd now. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. Like, this is a complete overreaction on the friend's part, and she's not a good friend at all.
No.
Like, I understand that people have certain aesthetics they want for their weddings, but you can't expect everyone to put their lives on hold
Yeah.
to look a certain way for your wedding. Like,
Well, and they've been planning this for 2 years. It's pretty likely that if someone's trying for a baby, right, and surely if they were best friends, she would know this, that it would be pretty likely that they would be pregnant at some point in time in a 2-year period. So I don't know why this is coming as a shocked Pikachu type situation.
and I mean, my guess is she's probably afraid it will somehow upstage her, but I don't think having pregnant people at your wedding inherently, like, upstages
No,
you. Like,
why would
everyone
it?
knows who the bride is,
Yeah.
you know?
Now, maybe if she wore white.
Right, yeah. If Opie comes in there in a white dress and everything, that might be a little. But, like, just showing up to a wedding pregnant, no one's gonna bat an eye. No one's gonna be weirded out. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, your maid of honor is pregnant." Like, whatever.
Yeah, no one's gonna care. And Miss Doll says, not the jerk. Oh, this is so rude, and I'm so hurt for OP, not the jerk. And Naku says, so basically, she still wants to take advantage of OP, not the jerk. Of course. Yeah. I mean, sometimes people just feel like they might be in the wrong, I think, and they need like some encouragement to know that what they're doing here isn't wrong, especially when you're dropping out of a role that's as big as like maid of honor. People kind of want permission to do the right thing, I feel like. So I can't blame OP for feeling confused here, because this is someone who is supposed to be their friend and they don't know why their friend is acting this way. So yeah. And what kind of friend is she, honest? And Miss Doll says, what kind of friend is she, honestly? Do you know what the comments say?
I
Um,
think they were pretty universal, not the
yeah,
jerk.
yeah. They were pretty universally the jerk,
Not the jerk.
or not the jerk, rather. And Morgan says, "Oh wow, best friend is a jerk. Yeah, I agree. And it's just not going to turn into a maternity shoot."
Yeah, like it's not like Opie's gonna pull the photographer aside and be like, "Now take photos of me." Like if
Yeah,
she did
yeah.
that, that would be a jerk move. But like just having a pregnant person does not a maternity shoot make.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't hire like the camera person, excuse me, and like had them like trained on her the whole time.
Hmm.
Like, please take pictures of me exclusively. Anything else is superfluous.
Oh, vows. Who needs those?
Yeah.
Me.
So, I don't remember. Did I read Morgan's comment?
Hmm.
Okay. I had a momentary lapse of memory. Our next letter is titled, "Am I the jerk for refusing to hand over my phone to my boss to check the message that I sent?" This is wild, folks, so hang on to your seats. They're all wild, as you can see. We've been saving up like the ones that were like almost good. Like sometimes I have to skip over them, and sometimes it's like I don't have enough time to cover them all in one day. But this is a great time to cover these kinds of stories. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I have a 3-year-old son who got sick, and I had to take him to the hospital in the morning. I took an hour off work, and I texted my boss letting him know why. Well, I arrived at work later, and my boss requested to see me in his office. He started questioning me about being late, but I told him that I already sent him a text and told him why. He said he didn't receive anything, but I assured him that I sent it. He told me to hand over my phone and he could check, but I refused. I asked him to check his phone, but again, he denied receiving anything and said that there was no point in checking his inbox. He asked that I hand over my phone to see the text that I sent, but I still refused, and I suggested that I open the text and show it to him because I have private messages with my boyfriend that I didn't want anyone else to see, let alone my boss. He refused to let me show him anything, saying that I might be faking it. But I already have the time and date on the text. He got mad and insisted that I hand it over. I decided declined and said no. This is my privacy and he does not get to violate it just because he has authority over me. He got more upset and told me to step outside. After making me wait 30 plus minutes, he then had his female assistant try to convince me to let him have a quick look, but I refused. The argument escalated, and I was told to go back home until this is figured out. My boss is angry with me, and his assistant is claiming that this was a weird hill to die on, and that if I truly did send it to him, then I should just let him have a look. Am I the jerk? I mean, I offered an alternative way for him to see the text, but he insisted on checking it himself. I'm in an extremely private person, and I thought him peeking at my private stuff, vulnerable conversations with my boyfriend, makes me uncomfortable. My boyfriend thinks that I should have just given it to him without making a scene. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. He is invading your privacy, and you probably should look for a new job because this does not sound like a good, healthy work
I'll
environment.
report this to HR.
If there's an HR, yeah, definitely report it.
Yeah.
Because they should be made aware. Because that's not like within normal, like as long as the company isn't paying for your phone, it's your private property,
Yeah.
and like they have no say over it.
Like, if this was your work computer that he wanted to check, then he would be more than entitled to check your work computer. He could be like, yeah, I actually want to look over your work computer. But this is your personal phone with personal private messages. He doesn't get to just peek whenever he wants to.
Yeah.
And Acu says, not the jerk, boss is power tripping, and no one should defend that. And Morgan says, nope, not the jerk. That's a complete violation of privacy. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think that this one's pretty unanimous here. Poor OP. I just feel bad that they're being convinced by people that this is actually, like, not right, right? I don't know. Like, bosses should defend their employees, not try to trample over their privacy. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for calling my husband insane for missing work just to teach me a lesson because I didn't iron his uniform? And 1 second, well, actually, before we begin, why don't we stop for tea? How's that sound? Tea time, because my throat my voice is getting a little scratchy. So, Amber, what's our joke? I have some tea here. Hopefully, you have a beverage.
Yes, I have some tea over there. I also have water.
Yes.
Um, is it polite to eat with your fingers?
Um, is it polite to eat with your fingers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it depends on like what you're eating. Like if you're eating chicken wings or chicken fingers or French fries or any number of things, then yes.
No, fingers should eat separately.
Oh. And now I just have this image of like giant fingers sitting around a table,
Oh my
like a
goodness.
giant thumb, a finger and a thumb just sitting in seats like around a table. Imagine it. Imagine being like, we're all eating here.
Oh, that reminds me of that thing I read. I'm reading a book on witchcraft. I don't know if I can talk about exactly what it said because of YouTube, but there's apparently, well, I don't know how to pronounce it, like the Malefice Maleficorium, like that really,
Yeah.
that witchcraft book that, the big bad of like
Mm-hmm.
punishing witches.
Yeah.
And he had this weird passage in there about how, witches would go around taking away people's junk.
Members.
Yeah, and like put them in birds' nests where they would peck at oats and corn. And it was just such a weird visual. I was like,
That's
I thought
very disturbing. It's a
it
very
is.
disturbing passage out of that book.
It was the weirdest thing. So, but yeah, apparently the book I'm reading is called like the history of like witchcraft, magic and witchcraft. And so like we're talking about the different witchcraft books of that era.
Yeah.
And the author decided to include that passage, and it was very bizarre.
It is a very bizarre passage. And Morgan says, "Nope." Oh no, never mind. That's the next comment. She guesses mint, and she has Gatorade. I hope you're enjoying your Gatorade. And Aku says licorice, and I agree, Morgan. It is a pretty messed up joke. I will tell you what kind of drink I have now. I have licorice spice. So nice job, Aku. All right. I was supposed to be giving my voice a little bit of a break there, but I think that I did not end up doing that. So in case you forgot, the title is called "Am I the Jerk for Calling My Husband Insane for Missing Work Just to Teach Me a Lesson Because I Didn't Iron His Uniform?" So days ago, I'm a stay-at-home mom of 3, and I was in the midst of doing laundry when my husband, the breadwinner, works as a pilot, asked if I could iron his uniform before his shift. I didn't say yes because I was busy. Laundry, then kids, homework, then cooking, etc. I said that I might not find the time to do it. He turned around and walked away, completely ignoring what I said. Well, an hour later, he came downstairs, freaking out, asking why I didn't iron his uniform when he asked me to. I told him that I was busy and reminded him how I didn't say yes to his request. He blew up, saying that I obviously didn't care about him displaying professionalism at work. It's just a uniform. It's not like it was dirty. It just needed some ironing. He lectured me about how his work is important, and although I'm a stay-at-home mom, I should still make his job a priority. He decided to miss his shift as a way to teach me a lesson and show me how my lack of cooperation and my refusal to help him out could affect the money that keeps coming in. I called him insane for missing the shift, and he got offended, calling me a hypocrite for calling him insane and acting all surprised when it was me who caused the situation to happen. I mean, I could have taken some time off doing my chores to iron his uniform, but I still thought his reaction was a bit much. Am I the jerk? For those of you asking why he didn't iron his own uniform himself, because I'm the one who usually does the ironing, and he says it's on the list of my house chores, which is true, but I don't give it priority like other chores like homework or laundry. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. This is worrying behavior on his behalf. Like, he's an adult. If he really wants his uniform ironed, he can iron it. It's not like you weren't already doing housework, and
Yeah.
just because you're a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean that you have to cover all the chores and cover them in the exact order he wants them done.
Well, my question is, why is there only one clean uniform at this point in time, right? I mean, not that I'm blaming OP. My question is, like, he's a pilot, so maybe he's gone for a few days at a time, and maybe he didn't get his clothes to her on time for laundry or something like that. But I think that this is an unfortunate situation. It seems like the chore distribution is a little rough. It sounds like he doesn't really do much in the way of chores. And that's actually what I have more of a problem
Mm-hmm.
with. Like, if it's her responsibility and part of her duties, and the chores are balanced and she's supposed to keep his uniform clean, then I can understand him being a little, I understand a little more with him being upset. But the way this reads, it seems more like he just likes to lord over her.
Yeah, well, he expects to have her to drop everything to wait on him, essentially. Like, oh, I need this done. This is now your emergency. And, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a healthy marriage.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a healthy marriage. And I think that's the biggest problem I have here is that it just is very, it seems like something is unbalanced. I don't know what it quite is. It just doesn't smell right, right? And Acu says, not the jerk. So I tend to agree. I think that for the most part, not the jerk.
Well, I mean, I think him skipping work right there shows that he's completely in the wrong because,
Yeah, yeah.
like, it's not like he was just a little huffy that his shirt wasn't ironed. He decided to skip work,
Yeah, I mean, that's actually
jeopardize his
true.
livelihood,
Yeah.
um, just to. And the whole idea of teaching your spouse a weapon and a
Yeah,
lesson
I mean,
every
I guess
time.
you're right. The whole, like, teaching them a lesson.
Anytime someone says that, like, that's a huge red flag in my book because it shows that they think that they are superior to their wife. It's
Yeah.
kind of controlling and not very good behavior.
No, I mean, I agree on all that. I agree on all that. I think that those are all very, very good points. And Morgan says, not the jerk, that was quite childish and misogynistic. It does feel that way. It does feel like there's that bit there. All right. Why don't we move on to the next story here? And this one is also very weird. A very weird story, folks.
Oh, it's classic golden child story.
It's a golden child story. Am I the jerk for not withdrawing my job application for the sake of my brother? I have an older brother who does not work by choice. Literally the most educated, smartest man I've ever known. He's just lazy. It's literally been years, and he's been a neckbearding in our parents' basement while I'm busting my butt at school. I took out loans when I was graduated, and I'm expected to pay them back, hence why I need the job of having to pay and for other living expenses. My brother has never paid a penny for his education. My parents, in their own name, took out loans for him. Lately, my dad has been getting on his butt about getting a job, and my brother has been brushing him off. I was given a tip to apply to this really lucrative graduate program. It's not in my field whatsoever, but it's a paid training, really well paid. I put in an application, I told my mom about it, and she asked for the link to the program. I sent it without a second thought, and I got an interview. Now, when I told my mom about it, she asked me to withdraw my application so I can give my brother a chance to apply. As if that's how anything works. Really? I said, what? He's literally had years to apply. This is my opportunity. Even if it's not my field, there's no guarantee that I'm going to get it anyway. But I want to at least try. I need a job, and I don't want to be financially dependent on my family. I want a life of my own, and I feel like them asking me to withdraw my application for the consideration is sabotaging my future for the sake of their golden child. I agree on that. I've always been put on the back burner for the sake of my brother, and I feel like that this is that and I feel and they feel like this is his opportunity to have it since it's in his field. Sorry about that. But one, I have no idea if he applied, and two, I don't think he would be allowed to apply because it's a new grad program and he's not been a new grad in years. I don't plan to withdraw my application, but everyone in the family is telling me that I'm being selfish. I've been banned from Thanksgiving, and I came home yesterday to find my mom converting my room into an office for my brother. My aunt has been bombarding me with texts telling me that I'm not being considerate of family. My friends are mostly on my side. One said that she sees from my parents' point of view, but I don't know. My family friends I see out in public won't even look at me. Well, family friends that I see out in public won't even look at me anymore. Over an interview, it's mad. Am I the jerk for not giving my brother this opportunity? Why is it OP's responsibility?
Right. I mean, OP, I think here is absolutely not the jerk. And if they, like, first of all, there's nothing stopping the brother from applying as well unless he's unqualified. Let the best person get the spot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it shows they know that he's not the most qualified if they're this concerned about having OP drop out. And, like, you're going.
Oh,
No, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just saying, it seems like they just want to get rid of him, the brother.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think in this case, it's he's their golden child. I mean, I think they are getting maybe a little fed up with him not contributing to the household,
Yeah,
but they want him. They feel like he deserves it over OP for whatever reason.
yeah.
But no, you don't deserve this. You gotta earn it.
Well, and the thing is, the committee who's ever selecting the job
Mhm.
is going to determine whether or not he deserves it or not,
Mhm.
right? They're going to pick the best person for the spot, and
Mhm.
if that's OP, then OP is going to get it. It might not be OP,
Mhm.
and if their brother applies for this position
And he's more qualified.
then they might pick him,
Mhm.
right? There's a lot to go into a selection like this, and they might not pick him for other reasons, right?
Mhm.
Even if he's very qualified, it's not a guarantee. And Aku says whether he applies or not, OP is not the jerk.
Yeah, like you don't have to drop out of things so that I just find this really weird how they're like, well, we need to like make everything so easy for your brother, and like
Yeah,
in that case they could be shooting themselves in the foot in terms of no one in the family gets the position.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're acting like OP is the thing standing between their brother and a job, right? And when
Right.
that's not it. It's his own motivation,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he has something like an executive order dysfunction that has been gone undiagnosed, and he needs to work with a therapist to help with that. That could be a case as well. And if that is, then they probably need to get him into therapy. But I think that they need to get him into therapy no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
because he sounds like he might have some troubles. Like if he's just content to sit at home and do nothing, and maybe it's cushy. Maybe that's why he does it,
Yeah,
right?
there's one of two major possibilities. Either one, it's cushy and he just plays video games all the time or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or two, he genuinely is really talented but has some sort of developmental disability, executive functioning issue that makes it really hard for him to follow a schedule
Yeah,
or
yeah,
and have a conventional job.
exactly. And Morgan says, not the jerk. Yeah, I agree. Just because OP withdraws the application doesn't mean the brother automatically gets the job. OP needs to get away from the people that never supported him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. All right, we might have enough time for two. We're probably only going to have enough time for one. But our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting to Go to Japan with My Husband? Throw away. I'm a 28-year-old female and I've been married to my husband, Peter, a 28-year-old male, for 5 years. Shortly after getting married, we went to France and it's such an amazing time. But that's the only time we have ever traveled. I've always wanted to go to Japan and I brought it up countless times, but Peter has always been reluctant at best. He's given a couple of reasons over the years, but it's still being drastically different. He's given a couple of reasons over the years, but it being drastically different culture than what we are used to, and the money have been the most reoccurring. Well, we hadn't done much of anything due to COVID, obviously, but with places opening up and stuff being back again, he's still not sold. But he did agree to go on a trip a few weeks ago to the Packers' last game on their home field. He grew up there for a few days. And it stung that he agreed to do this so easily, but is reluctant to travel with me somewhere that's romantic. I'll admit I got desperate in the moment and bought plane tickets to Tokyo, Japan for the same time frame as his trip and surprised it with him. He actually seemed uninterested until he learned of the dates, and then he said no because he already had plans made. I asked him if he was really going to choose his family/friends over an amazing time with me and said yes because I was not respecting his plans and called me a jerk. He has left. I was still and I am heartbroken and could not get a refund, so I took our kid and I took told my parents and I took my parents. Maybe is that what they're saying?
No, they went to their parents' house with
Oh,
the
I
kid.
took my kid to my parents. I see. I'm still there now, but I let our son come back to him because school is closer to our house. But I told him that I won't see or speak to him until he agrees to travel with me literally anywhere at this point. We're currently at something of an impasse. My parents are letting me stay and are calling me a huge brat acting like this. But do I deserve to be vilified for wanting something as fun to do something as fun as a couple? We haven't done anything in years. Am I the jerk here? All right, folks. Sorry about that. It was a real rough reading.
I'm gonna say that OP is a jerk for specifically booking the trip for a weekend that she knew he had things planned.
Yeah.
She's trying to make him do this weird, prove to me that I'm the most
Mm-hmm.
valuable person in your life. And that's never a nice thing to do to someone.
Yeah, it's a relationship test, this feels like.
And so, like, I understand being frustrated that you want to go somewhere with your partner, and that place isn't necessarily the place where your partner wants to go. But you can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to trample all over your plans
Yeah,
and I'm going
yeah.
to make you pick between your friends and family and me.
Well, and he even seemed interested up until the point where he found out it was over the same weekend as
Right.
his plans.
So I think, like, if she had, like, really wanted, like, she has made it clear this is important to her and they've been kind
Mm-hmm.
of, like, at an impasse. And that's understandably frustrating. And to that point, I don't really think anyone's a jerk because, like, it's hard. Sometimes you don't want to go places and your partner does. And those are things kind of awkward. But specifically booking it that weekend, I think, is just not a good call.
And Ms. Dahl says, honestly, think that they both are a bit of jerks in the situation. Him not working with her and her bombarding his trip. And that is wrong. Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, I think that that's just like the weirdest thing to think, oh, I want to try to prove that he likes me more than this other trip. And Morgan says, everyone's the jerk. He specifically doesn't want to go anywhere romantic as a couple, but yeah, he wants to see his long distance family and friends.
I wonder if though if it's just the Japan thing because it doesn't sound like OP because they did go to France and they sound like they enjoyed it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I need more information to weigh on him. Like if he literally shoots down everything, then yeah, I think that's a problem. But if it's just he has a lot of concerns about Japan, that I might understand a little more.
Yeah, I might understand a little more. And Aku says, everyone's a jerk. They don't seem to be on board on each other's side. Yeah. So, I think, unfortunately, I think that's probably going to wrap this up. Let's see. Is this one? Oh, this one's wholesome-ish. Okay, we'll read one more. We get a oh super. We'll end on a high note. How's that sound, folks? End on a high note. This is our last story, and it's titled, "Am I the jerk for buying diapers?" I'm a 20-year-old female and I recently was shopping at a small convenience store when a lady came in. She had twins. She picked up 4 small bags of diapers and placed them onto the counter when a man said that she could only buy one. They got into a pretty heated argument, and she screamed that one pack of diapers wasn't going to be enough for her twins. I felt bad for her, so I decided to loop around the diaper section and buy another pack for her. I managed to catch up with her and handed the diapers, and she proceeded to thank me. I still felt like with the twins and 2 small packs of diapers wasn't going to be enough. I asked her if she would walk with me to Target so that she could pick out some more diapers for her babies, and she said yes. In Target, she picked up a box of newborn sized diapers and I paid for them. She felt pretty bad that I spent so much money on diapers just for her, but honestly, I did not mind. Well, fast forward, my boyfriend said I shouldn't have done this as I've wasted over $30 on a stranger. I told him that if I was ever in a position that the woman was, I would want someone to do the same. Not only that, but his parents have the scrape the oh, not only that, but parents have to scrape the barrel these days to get formula and diapers because they're so expensive for one baby. Imagine how expensive it is for two. Uh Still, my boyfriend is calling me the jerk for spending money on a total stranger. Am I the jerk? Edit. The money used was all my money from my wages at work. I had already paid my share of the bills and rent for the month and was out shopping for things that was needed for the apartment when the altercation with the woman occurred. Edit. The comments about how it was due the amount that she was buying, not the money, But when I handed over the diapers from the convenience store, she opened up about how she was struggling financially and she was paying off her health care from the twins' birth and how her insurance didn't cover it all. The convenience store diapers was where she found them to be the most cheap. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say not the jerk. I mean, it's a nice thing to help a stranger, and OP makes it clear that she was using her money and she wasn't like not paying her bills or contributing to the household appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't see anything wrong with it. It seems like a really nice gesture, and it really is unfortunate that our healthcare system is so expensive and that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
can go into major debt from giving birth.
Yeah, and it's a sad situation when people are just trying to scrape by. And I think that this was really sweet of OP. I think it was very wholesome of them. They
Mm-hmm.
went out of their way to try and make someone's life a little bit easier, even if it was an inconvenience to them and cost them time and money. And Morgan says, not the jerk, how sweet. Ah, how sweet. Such a saint, and OP's own money. And Acu says, that's very thoughtful. What a wholesome thing to do. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. All right. All right, folks. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. Well,
Yes,
joining
thank you.
us. Thanks to Amber for joining me as well.
Thank you for having me.
As you can see, I have taken the time to update the live stream thing here. So, yeah. Oh, and Miss Doll has a response fund, too. She says, not the jerk. OP is a godsend. Little bothered by the girlfriend. Or probably they mean boyfriend, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So,
Now this next live stream is Black Friday, so if that is an issue, let us know, but that's currently when we have it scheduled for.
yeah, Black Friday, it might be a bit of a thing. So maybe we'll do it not on Black Friday. So let me know what you folks think of that date. I know that's when everyone's doing Thanksgiving, and I actually have some time off then, so I don't actually object to doing it on Black Friday. But I can understand that other people may have things they want to do with that day. So,
What could be cooler than hanging out with us?
exactly. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you all had a great time today. Thank you so much for all the messages and everything like that. I really enjoyed it. And thanks so much for watching. And we will see you all tomorrow
Bye.
in next live stream. Aki says, that was great. As always, thanks for the streaming with us. Well, you're welcome. And Morgan says, bye. Great live stream. It was really great. I hope you have a good night and see you tomorrow. Well, I hope you have a great night too, Morgan and Acu. So, we'll catch you all later. Now we get to sit here awkwardly while I figure out how to close things off. And Ms. Doll says, thank you for a great live stream and amazing vibes. I look forward to the videos. I hope you have a great day and wish for positivity. Well, thank you so much. It was
Yes.
really great. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all so much. I had